Thank you, Tony. So thank you, everyone. Hopefully everyone is caffeinated and ready for some fun. I want to start by thanking the ICA for, first of all, an incredible Congress. We've had amazing food, and for bestowing upon me the honor of moderating the creative forces that are sitting on this stage today. And I'm going to kick it off. We have 45 minutes and a lot to talk about. So I'm going to start with you, Paula, since you're next to me. Now, looking back on the decades and the experience that you've had in the gem and the jewelry world, what are some of the key changes that you've seen over the decades? How do you find consumer preferences have changed in the last 20, 30 years? What insights can you share with us?
Well, when I began, I have stayed true to that very initial goal, which was to create one-of-a-kind, fine art pieces of jewelry and to never duplicate a design. Because I think we're as unique as our fingerprints, so why would we wear the same jewels? Having said that, I forged a path that had not been forged in my lifetime, in my generation. But that has served me very well, and it was challenging. However, I have found that my demographic rose to the occasion, and they have supported me and they've built me so that I'm able to do my art. I'm a fine art jeweler. I always say, I'm not a jeweler, I'm a painter. I paint with the light of the earth, and I create the jewels from the noble metals.
And how do you find that from when you started to now, have you seen any changes in the industry, in retail, in the way people understand your work better now than they, what are some of those changes that you could think of?
Well, the changes in the marketplace, we've had ups and downs. We've had a Gulf War crisis. We've had 9/11. We've had many things that have happened to our world.
Yes.
And we also have had wonderful things happen like Facebook and Instagram.
Right.
And we've had great creative thinkers who've connected the world and made us much closer than we've ever been before. So all of this has brought us together as an industry, and also it makes it much easier for the younger ones to come along and promote their own work online. So I think that's been a big change.
Thank you. Mr. Skavia, same question. I mean, given your wealth of experience, what do you find, how do you find customer preferences have changed in the last 20, 30 years?
Let's say that customers are changed very deeply because the life of every day, everyone in the world has changed. I remember just 20, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, the social life was different in Thailand, in Europe, whatever. Of course, changement does not mean, something wrong, something different.
Yes.
Means that we need to be on stage. We need to be careful and to understand where the society is going. And so it's challenging, and it's good, it's positive. I think that now we have to care very much the wearability. I think that ladies in Europe, in Asia, they want to buy jewelry as far as they can wear often.
Yes.
Like in the car, the chance. The car that you can drive every day, it's absolutely more successful than the car that you have to keep in the garage. Because this is only for collector.
Exactly.
And they say, I have 5 cars, Aston Martin, Ferrari, but the car that you use every day, maybe a Porsche, it's successful because you drive every day.
Right.
So we need to care about this. And on the other side, you have to care about absolutely rarity, because after all, a rarity is a rarity, and a magnificent piece that you can wear maybe once in a year. What is suffering more, I think, is a medium high level of jewelry that
Yes.
is suffering. But I think that the market for basic, nice jewelry, nice quality jewelry, it will become more and more large.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So Chow Chow, coming to you, what started your journey in this world of jewelry? What attracted you?
Actually, it has two part of things. The
Yeah.
first is like apparently because of my father. He was jade wholesaler many years in China, so that's how I get influenced by jewelry in a very young age. But actually, I never really thought about to be a jewelry designer until I went to college in the United States. I graduated from fine art and art history, so I got a lot of chance to work with top art, especially top contemporary art gallery in China. And I work with a lot of great artists now and work with them directly at the studio. That's how I got influence. After multiple internships and a working experience in the galleries and institutions, what I realized is I want to be more creative. I don't want to be a gallery sales girl or run the gallery in the future for my life. I want to be creative. Then that's how I get influenced again. That's how I started my journey. After I graduated from school, I went to GIA in New York. I finished all the course over there, including GG, CAMCA, and Jewelr Design. After that, I went to Christie, New York, and the Rappaport Diamond Auction. Then I moved back to Shanghai to establish my jewelry studio.
Fantastic. And
Yeah.
what about you, Mr. Shivanaves?
I'm the fourth generation in
Yes.
the family business.
Our youngest panel member.
and our family is in the jewelry industry for over 100 years.
Yes.
So I always grew up in the factory, like literally in the factory, because we used to live like above the workshop. And so I always been doing like homeworks next to my father, who's like selecting stones and such. So, and that's only so much you can help them out, other than like making lots of jewelry sketches. So that's the start, and I always enjoy doing lots of drawings.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Well, Smriti, I want to catch you now. And so, jewelry design is considered now it's quite a saturated market. Yeah. And so what are some of the things that have helped master strokes, break out, especially given the type of work you create?
I don't think creativity is ever going to be saturated.
Right. That's nice.
So, MasterStroke especially has taken over in the way that it tells stories and taking stones and getting the colors around it and creating an experience for every woman to put on themselves. Mm-hmm. Rather than just putting them on walls. The art that we put on walls and in our drawing rooms, it's come on the women's body. That's what we are trying to do.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about you, Chow Chow? Same question. I mean, how did you, find your voice, find your creative aesthetic? And how did you break through? Because a lot of times, I think, especially for a new designer who's starting out, it's a scary, the marketplace is a scary place. Mm-hmm. These days it's especially scary. So for a jewelry designer, what has been the key sort of elements of your success?
I wouldn't say success, but for me, the most important thing is to treat each piece as your first piece. You break all the limited. You break everything, the boundary for yourself, and challenging yourself enough. Just create everything as your first piece. Put it all your passion, everything. And each style of design always have the audience. The most important thing is you find your own unique language. That's the most important, because in the end, only your work stays.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I believe.
Mr. Skavia, anything to add to that?
I would like to say that the most interesting person to answer is my son, because he's following me and he's learning by himself. I try to influence him very little. Can I give?
Yes, of course.
So basically also, our design, we focus not on lines, but on merely unique creations. So we try every time to make innovative, in order not to make something that will continue the lines of the things of the past that we did.
Yes.
So we always look to the future. We don't look only to the present, but we forward our look into our future market. So what customers will buy today, but especially tomorrow.
Right.
And we look for this because, as my father was saying before, girls now, younger girls that tomorrow will be the tomorrow's lady, they look for something that is rich, nice, distinguishable, but most of all wearable, something that is recognizable, that they can wear not only at galas or at dinners, but during the everyday life.
Right.
During work, during, yes.
Yeah.
And lines of pure gesture. So not complicated lines, but something very recognizable and simple. Simple in a good way, of course.
Right. And Paula, what about you? What advice would you give to young designers who are looking to enter this industry?
Well, I think the trump card for me, I would advise them to use, which is to become recognizably different. Create your own voice. It's like a signature. When you sign your name, you have an energy there, and you have a visual energy, and you have to define yourself. What do you have to offer your clients? What do you have to offer your industry? What is your message about jewelry and the thousands of years of ornamentation? How do you want to express that? And how do you want to make the most beautiful jewels that challenge you and also that delight you as an artist?
Right. And so any challenges you encountered in your journey, I mean, of course, in any journey, you will come across moments when you will doubt yourself, when there's a crisis that happens in the financial world, it impacts your business, or, you just have a mental block sometimes. So any challenges that you encountered that had an impact on the trajectory of your journey, or?
The only thing I can remember is when the big bailout happened, and all of a sudden, you couldn't sell anything over $8,000. So I would take $16,000 earrings and break them apart and make them pendants, and as long as it was $8,000, I could sell it. It was very weird. I'd never sold for price. I'd never had to. I mean, building along the way, yes. I always live within my means, and I've never borrowed a dime from the bank. My father told me debt was not my friend, and if I couldn't afford it, I couldn't have it.
Right.
So I didn't have those challenges so much, but it was when things happened in the world, was when things became challenging for my art. But 2008 was one of the most memorable. But I think if you really believe in yourself and you give it your best, the rest will happen. You have to be well-intentioned. Intention is everything. It even goes into your work.
Yes, and Mr. Skavia, any hurdles you remember that you'd like to share which had an impact on your journey?
Yeah. First of all, I want to say that as a jeweler, I don't want to use so much the word art.
Okay.
We are not artists. My guys, we are simple craftsmen.
Yes.
That needs to know how to make jewelry.
Yes.
Art is a different matter. Art is a nonsense that has no use, not wearable. It is a painting, it is sculpture, it is architecture. We are simple guys, we are craftsmen,
I love it.
first of all. Then, let's say, there is a lot of memories of my job, that I would like to say. But let's say the thing that I remember that happened often to me, it is when I have to design something for a special occasion for some customer, 50 years of birthday of a wife, of a special graduation for the daughter. And then in this case, I enter really in a life and in the, really in the private life of a family. And this give a relation with my customer, between me and my customer, very deep. So what I recommend to a designer, you design, you create your jewelry, but be at service for your customer to create something custom-made. This will give a strong relation between you and your customer.
Keeps them coming back for sure.
Yes.
Yes. And Smriti, anything you want to share about any challenges along the way, or that taught you something?
Yeah, I think if you can connect to your customer,
Yes.
and you can find and connect to what they want,
Right.
I think you can overcome all the challenges.
Right. And that's the key to take away. And what about you, Shavanaves?
The challenges we had in the beginning was to make customer really understand what we are doing.
Yes.
We are based in Bangkok, and at the beginning, people here, most people, they see jewelry as a symbol of wealth.
Yes.
And rather than a reflection of their personal taste.
Yes.
So they're mostly looking for big stones, big diamonds.
They're looking for intrinsic value.
Yeah,
Yes.
while what we are doing is completely different.
Yes.
So it's so we realize that we have to focus our attention into the story of the piece and the experience of the brand. By that we mean trying to make them understand the inspiration of the piece, the process, and make them feel different cuts of the stones, what it's like what's the French cut like and such. So and all of these takes time. So we are in the process to make them understand what we are doing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Chow Chow, any checklist that any one of you, actually this is a question for all of you, any checklist that you have when you're sourcing colored gemstones? Is there anything that, everyone has their own sort of method. For me, I'm I talk a lot to other people and give a lot of advice, but when it comes to me, I just forget everything and I'm just waiting to fall in love with that stone. But everyone has their own, way of looking at it, because when you're buying for your business, then, you need to be a little more...
For me, it's two key points.
Yeah.
First is color, because we deal with color stone every day. I design for the color stone every day. For me, key is always color. The second one is cutting. I do care about the cutting style a lot. No matter for a classic emerald or a unique cutting for another interpretation of emerald, I always looking for special cutting. Because the great cutting really brings incredible fire and brilliance. I think that's very, very attractive point for color stone and also for my design.
Any particular cutting styles that you're in love with right now? Anything?
My favorite one, always perfect classic emerald cut for sure.
Right.
And I also really like hexagon cut and the Lorenzo cut, very special, unique, and give a lot of inspiration for design as it comes from nature, comes from the stone itself. Yeah, for me it's very important.
What about you, Paula? Any checklist you can share?
For me, as an American, I had the great advantage of being part of my generation's thrust onto lapidary art scene, where we began to take the awards in Germany, and we began to take the awards in China because of our innovation in lapidary art. And that was my generation. And so I still, to this day, I use the patented cut of Glen Layer, the Taurus ring cut, the incredible carvings of this inimitable soul that can carve a valve for my Portuguese man of war out of a very soft stone that no one would attempt to do. But I also love the classics, and I think the classics are timeless, and classically and beautifully cut stones are very, very essential to my collection as well. And I think that Thailand, I must tip my hat to Thailand and to the many dealers here and the cutting facilities that have some of the best cutting in the world.
Absolutely.
And without Thailand, I think Thailand really built me. I say that often. Thailand really built me. Thank you, Thailand.
Thank you, Paula. That was lovely. So, Smriti, any stones you're in love with these days? What's What's in your mind?
I think what we use most is emeralds and opals, and what we are looking for while buying is just unusual looks, unusual cuts, and unusual shapes. And to bring out the kind of stories that we build around stones, we want them to be all one of a kind. And so we look for some things unusual. Unusual in the sense of they might not even be stones. They can be materials that have not been used ever in jewelry. Like we worked with a Bidri art in India. We did a craft thing with bamboo. So things that are unusual, we'd love to use them.
And you use a lot of enamel in your jewelry as well. So opals is always a
opal is my favorite because we work with enamel and we have 300 colors that we work with, and opal and enamel just enhance a piece of jewelry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Mr. Skavia, any stones you're in head over heels in love with?
Yeah. I want to say that I like,
Yes.
and North American,
Yes.
the cut which is called buff top, which is
Yes,
like
I
a
love the buff
cabochon
top.
on the top and brilliant underneath, and especially in the pear shape. This cut is very, very good, very attractive, especially for semi-precious stone. But very often I use to recut, because we cut also stone in Milano, the color stone, emerald, when there is some flaws, when it is not so perfect. Making a buff top, it will give a great enhancement, especially in the pear shape and in the round. So this is a cut that we use, and I like personally very much.
Yeah, it has so much character.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree with you. And any checklist you have when you're sourcing colored gemstones?
Let's say I have a little bit special. I see some supplier that they know me. I have special taste in a color stone. I don't care so much about pigeon blood. Pigeon blood, the customer.
Yeah, I don't
they
like
ask
that
pigeon
term.
blood. I like a special color in ruby. I like a special color in sapphire, which is my taste. That used to be my mother's taste, and also my son has its own special. I think that a color stone is a lady. It's like a lady. Each lady,
Yes.
he had its own color. You don't need to be Claudia Schiffer. You can be also a normal lady, but a beautiful lady who is able to express something.
Yes.
So I like in the color stone, the gemstone that is a little bit maybe out of the normal light, and he has its own character. But just like in the pink or in the ruby, the color which is a little bit pinkish, but bright.
It's an open
sparkling.
color. Yeah.
I wanted to make a proposal to your association.
Yes, please do.
Yes. When I was young, I won many times the Diamond International Award, more than 15 times. And it was a great exercise for me. And luckily now, there is no more important contest for the young generation. I think that ICA could promote a contest, worldwide contest, for jewelry with color stone. This should be a great promotion for the color stone and a great help for the young and not young designer who, I remember that every time I was entering the competition, for me it was a new story.
Yes.
I think that we are
I think it's a fantastic suggestion.
many big companies here who could support
Yes.
this competition.
Absolutely.
And I think that an ICA contest for jewelry design with color stone should be a great advantage for all the market.
Thank you very much. That's a great idea. So hopefully the ICA committee is making notes right now, and excellent, very good. And thank you so much for that idea. I completely agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. We need more young people in this industry and speaking of that, I want to come to another question with you, Paula. How can we interest the younger generation to enter this industry? Because, of course, we see a lot of sons and daughters of people who are owners of gem production houses or jewelry houses. Your son is with you as well, Mr. Skavya. But I think I want to put a spotlight on, the sons and daughters of cutters, or the artists or the goldsmiths, who are like, sitting there on the bench. I don't see, when I travel to manufacturing centers, to even to mines, I don't see the younger generation, taking on the work of their parents at that level.
Well, I've given that some thought in my time, because we're having a turning and tipping point. And of course, we're seeking hand workers quite often, at least I am. I only deal with one-of-a-kind handmade pieces of jewelry and hand cutting. I don't want the machine cut. I don't enjoy it. It doesn't have the human element. But when you look at our industry, and I'm talking about America because I know that the best, we have people like Rio Grande doing an award called the Saul Bell Award, named after Martin's late father, who was a master goldsmith that learned on the knee of his great uncle. But the point is, they have a high school award. So encouraging the young people to get involved. I was not born of a goldsmith. My father's ancestors were watchmakers, but no one in my family is in the jewelry business at all. But I did have encouragement and help, and I do think it starts with the families and the school systems. They should encourage a little artist. They should give them the materials that they need. But there are also schools all over the world. I Googled it this morning, and there's just so many institutes of learning, whether it's in Ida Oberstein, or whether it's in New York, or whether it's in Singapore. They're all over. What I think our industry could do to really help the next generation come forward is to have scholarships for high school students, to get them involved at a very early age. And we do have a lot of people doing a lot of things. You can study at GIA globally. You can study, there are places to be, but in my case, when I started first grade at age 5. Well, my teachers by 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade were coming home to my parents saying, "You've got to get this child private lessons. She's gifted." And it was just lucky. My mother's best friend down the street had her master's degree in painting from Vassar. So I got private lessons. And it's that encouragement. And it starts so young. And if you notice that your child loves to draw, encourage that. And so I do think it starts initially with the family, but the world family has to be there as well. I'm thinking about starting a scholarship myself.
Excellent, thank you. That's a wonderful initiative. Smriti, any thoughts on that in Jaipur? I mean, with all the artists that are there, what can we do in Jaipur, in India, to encourage younger people in the business? I know you specifically have some young painters in your studio.
So we have a lot in our group where we have the designers. We don't have many of them as jewelry designers. So most of the people we have are artists from different fields. Like they could be sculptors, they could be painters, miniature artists, and they create thoughts for us to bring another story on the platform to wear as a piece of jewelry. And I feel that all of us in the industry, in the jewelry industry, should not just appreciate and bring a certain kind of teaching for jewelry, because when they start thinking only jewelry, they are closed in a box. And if you can think beyond jewelry and then convert that thought into a piece of jewelry, I think it would come out better.
That's very interesting. Thank you. And Mr. Skavya, anything to add to that? How can we encourage?
Yes, I want to go back to something that I was telling you before. I say, jewelry design, yes, va bene. But we need to know how to make jewelry. What I think nowadays, it is, because I was also a teacher in a jewelry school in Milan for a few years. We need to make a bridge between jewelry designer and craftsman.
Yes.
A jewelry designer, it is valid, it is a good job if he has experience of making, because otherwise there is a gap.
Yes.
And especially nowadays, that the quality of the product, especially in the commercial line, is very low.
Yes.
We have to rise up. Jewelry need to be a perfect piece. By chance, by antonomasia, we say, it's beautiful like a jewelry. Because we think that jewelry is perfect. But really, actually, it is not. We should improve so much the quality of our workmanship. And the jewelry designer needs to be like a bridge, needs to achieve this goal, to learn, maybe to work for some months, for maybe a couple of years in the factory, just to know that what he designed can be made in a correct way. So I think that it is, after all, is a vocation, you know. More a job is attractive, more people is coming. We should also, I think, promote a little bit, you know, the work of the jewelry business, jewelry designer. But we have to do in a correct way. By chance, with communication on this level, manufacturing and creating.
Thank you. So Chow, I come back to you and to Mr. Shivanaves. What are your, can you tell us a little bit about how you plan for the next collection? You know, when you're thinking about creating something, is there a process you follow?
Yeah. First of all, always, because every year and a half, I would deliver a brand new collection. Each collection around 14 to 16 pieces. Every time what I think about is always the uniqueness. Compared to what I did in the previous collection. The previous collection was, I called Shanghai, was my dedication to my hometown. So the entire inspiration coming from 1920 back to old time when Shanghai was colonized by different countries. We got influence and a lot of beautiful architecture built up during that time. So my entire collection was from that. Was very, very Art Deco inspired and contemporary architectural feeling. So my next collection gonna be delivered in November in Shanghai, which I think is very, very from all the cutting style and all the shape I use and all the stone I use this time is completely unusual, unique, and all comes from that nature. So each piece I deliver is according to what I see from the stone itself. So every time we're looking for is the uniqueness. I want to break the things different compared to the previous collection, what I deliver. So it's kind of like a challenging process because it's time consuming, first of all, no doubt, and also how you make the things wow.
But is it the gemstones that, you know, because for some people it's either architecture or it's art or it's culture that inspires them to start the process of designing, and then the gemstones follow, right, to fill in the colors. With others, it's the stone that speaks to them and that triggers that creative energy. So which of the two, or is there another process that you follow which I haven't mentioned?
It really depends on what's the collection I want to deliver for each time.
Right.
Like last time, the previous collection was literally inspired by the architecture and art, was my dedication to my hometown. But this time was completely opposite way, because also this collection is more in a young and different way. So the whole process is opposite. I'm going to looking for the stone first. What I get first, then I start work with that.
What about you?
I mean, the question has been something I've been discussing with my design team very recently.
Yes.
Because in the past, we've always been just doing whatever we think is nice.
Yes.
Any design that is nice, we make it. But many times, although people can tell that it's ours from the craftsmanship, but we think it's not enough. As the brand developed, we feel that we need this unique signature, whether it's the form or the symbols that weave and unite all the pieces together. So we are in this process to work this out, but we know that it is the new collection has to be a new category of its own, yet brings out the essence of who we are and our brand. Yeah.
And sorry, go ahead.
In my case, I always have made one-of-a-kind pieces of jewelry. So for me, it always starts with the stone first, and I won't even buy a stone if I don't see what it wishes to become. It's instantaneous for me. But as I've gone along the journey, I do have collections, but not in the way that I think you're describing, where you have things that interrelate to each other as a collection to wear together, maybe as an ensemble. I don't do that. It just doesn't interest me. But I do create themes. Lawrence Stoller, another great lapidary artist in my generation, considers me our themologist for our
Sure.
movement.
Sure.
But what I do is I come up with a theme that fascinates me, one of which is mine location specifics. So I've been working on some of our greatest mines in the United States, such as the great mines of Montana, Sapphire, the great mines of Stewart Lithium Mine,
Yes.
of the Tourmalines mines, and the great state of Maine, the Tourmaline State. And then I'm going to the Apache Nation next for their peridot. And what I'm doing is...
So you're a true gem lover. You're like completely.
Yeah, gold is secondary to me.
I love this.
Stone is always
absolutely.
first.
Mr. Skavya, anything you want to add to that?
Yes, I would like to say, if the question is, when you have to make a jewelry, are you inspired by nature or by architecture or by whatever, or by the stone?
Or your customers?
No, let's say, I think that a jewelry designer, first of all, should be a cultured person.
Should be what? Sorry?
A cultured person.
Right.
Cultured, not so ignorant very often.
Yes.
We are very much
Yes.
we need to know art, to have studied, to be full of something.
Yes.
Then I think that the best inspiration are women. Me, I am a man, so I design jewelry for women, and I take my inspiration from women. Then the stone, the gold, the metal, it comes.
I'm coming and looking at your jewelry next now.
It is on the service of this inspiration that it is done by women, but pretty women, please.
Yes, okay. I love that. Okay, excellent. Very charming answer, Mr. Skavya. So for the entire panel, what are your views on social media in helping to storytell, market? Chow, you want to go first? And then, then whoever wants to jump in.
For me, social media is hate and love both relationships.
Sorry?
It's hate and love.
Oh, hate and love.
Yeah.
Okay.
Love is because it does help us, brand, jewelry designers, spreading the world, let everyone knows about us.
Yes.
Because we are right now living based on social media. Everyone's on phone, everyone's on Instagram. Definitely it's a great way to storytell and to tell people, to make people feel, wow, attractive, impressive. But the hate is it's also very distracting. It's very distracting. As a designer, we just need to focus on what we want to pursue in the future and now. But this comes and goes. Sometimes it's bothering. So I have to meditate myself all the time to make myself always concentrate my work, that's all. Whatever comes on social media, it's extra bonus. But don't take too serious.
I love that. I agree with that.
Well, I think social media is very important for the young people
Yes.
coming on board that aren't, necessarily a child of an already existing family that produces jewelry. And they don't have a lot of money. It's very cost effective. You can get a large audience for very little money.
Yes,
that's true.
So that part is very good for growing our industry, I
Yes,
feel.
yes.
And I also think that it is important to hone your voice as a designer, like in creating our work, which we all do, but you have to get that message through that system, and it's a visual system. So I think that's also very important. And then we have the influencers. So if you're fortunate enough that you can hire somebody that's really skilled at that, then let them do that while you do your work. So that's always an option. You just have to carve it into the budget.
And
But-
what about you?
Yeah, of course, it's very important as a communication tool to make clients understand much more directly and strongly who we are and what is the personality of the brand.
Yes.
And in addition, it's also, I think we use it for us to bring in from online to offline. So customers know us from the online platform to come and experience the piece or the brand offline at the shop or our boutique.
So you
yeah.
use it to reach out and just connect with people and then to
Yes.
kind of bring them in.
Yeah.
What about you, Smriti?
I think it's very important
Right.
to use the media, but I think we haven't found a way of doing it. I mean, being a creative person, at least I don't know how to reach out
Right.
and use the media.
Right.
We're still figuring it out.
Yeah,
figuring
no,
it
fair
out.
enough.
Yeah.
Mr. Skavia, any thoughts on social media or Alessandro?
I will answer because
Yes, please do.
I am the one which is control of
Yes.
our Instagram page.
Yes.
And I like it very much because I think it's a more effective means of communication because it's a little bit less informal. So also customers and like potential buyers are a little bit more open, like rather than a jewelry magazine or something. And it consents also you, so the producer, the seller, to exclude, to show something that otherwise you couldn't even show maybe to some magazine. So some like internal, some videos, some things, some pictures from your factory, like, and it's constant. So you can have every day, every week, new things to show, new pictures, videos of the inside things that otherwise customer won't be able to see.
Do you find new customers through your Instagram
Yes,
account?
personally, yes, because I have also many friends, many people I know that maybe are not accustomed to jewelry and they don't know like products. So by seeing me, by becoming a friend, because Instagram is based on
Yes,
friends, it's like
yes,
Facebook
yes.
or any other social media. So when you become friend, then you see the pictures, you see some maybe mixed, it's like the pictures of the vacation, the things that is nice to buy, and then you see some pictures of the jewelry as well. And this creates the interest and then creates also the wish to buy.
Yes, the aspirational
The aspiration, yes.
desire to own. And what about you? I mean, have you found new customers through?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Very powerful.
excellent. Well, I think we should end on that note. And thank you everyone for your time today and for sharing all your beautiful stories and your journey with all of us. And I think I have not overshot the runway. Excellent. Thank you, Tony. Thank you.